What do we see if we go for a short walk in the Maltese countryside? We will see many hills, many valleys, and we will also see plains. If, on the other hand, we go near the seashore, we'll find bays, ports, and many cliffs. Note how these houses were built on top of a hill. People living in these houses like to go up on the roof and enjoy the fresh air and the views from up high. Many Maltese towns and villages can be found on high ground. The town that can be seen here is the Gozo Citadel. Note how this old town, surrounded by very high walls called bastions, was built on a high hill. The citadel was built on high ground so that people would be able to shelter behind its high walls and defend themselves better when they were attacked by pirates. Other towns and villages built on high ground are Limdina, Irabat, and Il-Meliha in Malta, and Ishara in Nadur and Izzabouj in Gozo. This is a typical Maltese valley. The name of this valley is Wid Babu. Wid Babu is just near the Maltese village of Zuree. Note how Wid Babu and the other valleys have a very low part, but then they also have hills on either side. In summer it doesn't rain, and so Maltese valleys dry up, but they fill with water as soon as rain begins to fall again in autumn. When it rains, water runs down the sides of the valley. Water enters the low ground of the valley, and much of it ends up in the sea. This is Wid Il-Lunsiata, the very fertile valley near the Gozoton village of Kerchem. It has just been raining, so water can be seen trickling down into the valley. It's such a pity that the rainwater ending up in the sea is in fact fresh water, so it's just wasted. This wasted fresh water could be easily used for drinking, cooking and washing. It could also be used to irrigate or water our fields. What can we do to stop rainwater from being wasted? Look at what we have done at Wittle Leia, or as it is better known, the Chadwick Lakes. At Wittle Leia and in other valleys, we have built dams or walls that block and stop the water from going further down into the valley and finally ending up in the sea. If we look carefully inside our valleys, we will find an environment that is full of life. We can see trees and plants as well as animals. In a valley, especially after the autumn rains, we will certainly see frogs. Frogs usually go to sleep in some valley during the dry and hot days of summer, but then, with the first rains, they come out to have their tadpoles. On hills, on the sides of hills and in valleys, we can see many trees and other plants. This plant is bramble, in Maltese, Ollea. It is commonly found on both sides of any valley. Note how brambles are very common on the sides of Widbabu. Trees and plants growing in the Maltese countryside are called the Maltese flora. Let's mention some of these trees and plants. The carob tree, the caper, the prickly pear, Our islands are home to a lot of fauna. This means that there are many birds and animals living on our islands. We can easily meet many of these if we go for a walk in the countryside. Everywhere we go, we can see many sparrows. Sparrows build their nests everywhere. Sometimes sparrows become pests, and farmers like to put up scarecrows to keep sparrows away from their field. If we visit the countryside in autumn, we will surely hear the song of the robin. The robin is known as the red-breasted bird. From October onwards, robins fill our countryside with their beautiful song. What is a plain? On a plain, we don't see any hills or valleys. The land is flat. These are the two villages of Rendi and Dimabba. Note how these two villages are built on a piece of land that can be called a plain. Around these villages, we can see a lot of fields. It's much easier to work fields on such plains than working fields on the slopes of hills. When it rains, the soil is not swept into the sea. Cliffs are steep and high rocks reaching down into the sea. Let's take a look at these beautiful cliffs. In the crevices or cracks inside these cliffs, we find birds building their nests. Some of these birds are very rare birds. It is also a place where we can find rare plants. One such plant is Widnet el-Bahar, which is Malta's national plant. We have seen how in the countryside, on hills and in valleys, if we look carefully, we can see various creatures and plants. Trees, plants, and animals are all alive, and so we must always look for ways to protect them.